In this video, we'll explore all the actions that you can perform on an invoice through the E-invoice tab of the Compleo IRP Manager. With the E-invoicing tab of IRP Manager, you can monitor and perform actions on the invoices sent to the IRP portal. For better understanding of the interface, check our explanatory video from the tutorial section. Let us now check how these buttons work. Remember, all actions cannot be performed on every invoice. The availability of action buttons depend on the selected invoice's status. Let us explore more with some examples. The refresh and export buttons are enabled for invoices with all statuses. The refresh button updates the information and status of all the invoices, whereas clicking the export button downloads an Excel sheet with all the data from the invoices on the same page as the selected invoice and saves onto your local device. We can check all the detailed information of a selected invoice by clicking the information button. This button comes in handy for checking information on important and frequently used criteria like the IRN number, the date on which it was created, the process used for processing the invoice, the status of the invoice, and more. It also makes identifying the job ID for a selected invoice, with the help of which you can monitor the invoice easily in the Jobs tab. Usually, a user requires to check this information often, and this information button provides this at a glance. Remember that this button is not enabled for invoices that are cancelled. Manual error while generating the invoice or cancellation of an order after booking an invoice are some cases where cancelling the e-invoice becomes inevitable. Cancelling an invoice for which an IRN is already generated is easily possible with the IRP Manager web application. All you need to do is select the invoice you wish to cancel and click on the Cancel button. On the pop-up window, check if the IRN number for the invoice is correct and mention a reason for cancelling the invoice from the drop-down text. If the reason for the cancelling invoice is not mentioned in the given list, select Other. In this case, we shall choose Order Cancelled. Writing a remark is mandatory and cannot exceed the limit of 100 characters. Click Submit to confirm cancelling. Please note, an invoice cannot be cancelled if an e-way bill is already generated for that invoice or if it has exceeded its validity of 24 hours for cancellation. You can reprocess an invoice with status as error by selecting an invoice and clicking the Retry button. On successfully retrying, you will be notified for the same. With the View Input button, you can check the detailed information sent to the IRP. The data is shown in JSON format. That is so because the IRP accepts data only in the JSON format and returns the data for the invoice in the same JSON format. The data returned by IRP can be checked by clicking the View Output Data. You can also download the data on your local machine by clicking the Download button on the window or by clicking the Download Output Data button. This button is only applicable for downloading the data returned from the IRP. If an invoice is successfully verified, you will be able to view the IRN in this window. Now let us explore another useful button on the interface. The Generate E-way bill by IRN allows you to generate an E-way bill taking reference from the IRN received from the IRP. An E-way bill is required for the transportation of goods worth Rs 50,000 or more, whether within or between the states. Please note that this button is enabled only if an IRN for an invoice is generated successfully. Let us generate e-way bill for this invoice. Simply click on this button and enter relevant transportation details like the transporter ID, name, document date, vehicle number, etc. It is important to mention the distance as the validity of the e-way bill depends on the distance between the locations the consignment is moving between. Select the appropriate transportation mode from the drop-down list and choose the relevant option. After entering all the required details, click the Submit button. If the e-way bill is generated successfully, you will receive a notification and a dialog box. To check the details or status of your e-way bill, you can use this button to navigate to the document in the e-way bill submitted section with just one click. Please note that this button is enabled only if the e-way bill is generated for the selected invoice. The buttons in the Error tab of e-invoicing work with the same functionality as just explained. The Archived section of the e-invoicing tab displays all invoices regardless of their status. The buttons in this section are enabled once an invoice is selected, except for the refresh button, which can be used at any time without selecting a document. We hope you found this video useful. Thank you.